I slashed my farm input bill from over $200 to just $20 a month. Stay tuned to find out what 3 actions I took to do this. I found a man that cracked the code and developed a technology for growing food using the power of nature. I switched from using proven organic methods to a biological technology that worked even better. And I was not disappointed. However, I was shocked when I started looking at my monthly costs and how much less money I was spending to farm. For just over a decade, I produced handmade quality tea in Hawaii. I loved it. I had fans all over the world. Now, Hawaii is a very expensive place to have a business, especially if you are a farmer. And I was an organic farmer, and organic inputs are expensive. So even though I was clever and frugal, I was spending a lot of money to produce my delicious organic Hawaii-grown hand-rolled tea. So while I was doing organic gardening, I was spending at least $200 a month in fertilizer just for the tea field. I dropped that to $20 a month. And not only did that take care of the tea field, it also took care of the orchards, the gardens, all the animals. My total input bill went down to $20 a month. But here's where it gets even better. I was selling chicken eggs commercially, and the same $20 a month covered the cost to produce those eggs because I didn't need to buy animal feed, and the chickens never got sick. I got better quality and higher yields, and I was able to sell my crops and my tea for top dollar, which is good when you're trying to make a living as a farmer. In fact, my eggs were selling at the time for $7 a dozen, and organic eggs sold at the time for $4 a dozen. And I was not organically certified. I did this because of the quality and word of mouth. That small side hustle alone was enough to pay for my entire farm input bill each month. I found over time I was actually working less, which was good because I was a single mother and the sole farmer, and I was doing everything from taxes to tractors. After adopting this new way of farming, I never had another animal disease. In fact, the chickens never even got mites anymore. There were no animal smells, no flies, and I never had to muck out a stall in the barn again. Never. And I never had to maintain a compost pile. Didn't miss that. My crops had hardly any pest or disease. I was even able to grow crops that I wasn't able to grow before. I also created no waste. Everything on the farm was reused, recycled, renewed. Now let's explore the details of how I saved money and improved my farm. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Sherry Miller, and I love farming. This video series is designed to share the secret techniques of natural farming and Korean natural farming to grow lots of high-quality food. My tagline is "Be like nature." I started learning gardening from my natural farming grandfather. We called it organic at the time. When I was literally a toddler, I would toddle behind him and learn what he could teach me as we walked around. And later, when I had become a commercial tea grower in Hawaii, I met Master Cho. And he had all the secrets my grandfather was looking for. My grandfather knew there was a way to use nature. Like, there's so much lush abundance in nature. And when we grow our food, he knew there was a way you could capture nature and grow your food with that power. And Master Cho had the secret ingredients that I was missing all my life. So I feel like this was a generational full circle completion. So now you know what I've done. I've stopped spending so much money, from $200 to $20 a month for the entire farm. I'm working less. I'm getting better quality. I'm getting higher yields. I've got healthier animals. I've got healthier crops. How did I do it? Organic methods were helping, but the progress was slow and I definitely needed to use fertilizer. Using K&F sped the process up by years. There are 3 actions that specifically define Korean natural farming. I did 3 things that saved me a lot of money and gave me a better farm. They are soil foundation, nutritive cycle, integrating animals. The soil foundation means no fertilizers are needed. IMO, indigenous microorganisms, a soil culture taken from the surrounding areas, is used to inoculate the soil and bring the land to life. The nutritive cycle is the life cycle of the plant, from when they're a seedling, when they're a young plant and they want to grow leaves, when they want to start setting flowers, when they set a fruit, and when the fruit ripens. We follow this life cycle and give it biochemicals from plant material that's already doing that thing we want to do. And it's a biochemical way to direct growth using biochemistry with inputs made on or near the farm. Integrating animals is important because you need a way to recycle your materials. Nature always has animals, and so should you. If you can't have big animals, then you should at least have small animals, like a worm bin or black soldier flies. Now let's take a closer look at the 3 steps I took to change my farm. In Korean natural farming, the soil foundation is based on indigenous microorganisms. Master Cho has been able to use IMO, the secret ingredient in Korean natural farming, to do things like turn solid lava rock into gardening soil and grow trees in the Gobi Desert where essentially no rain falls. IMO is the basis for soil foundation because it is the biology in the soil that allows plants to grow. And while plants get their energy from sunlight, they need elements such as minerals from the earth. Microbes in the soil live symbiotically with the plants and transform elements into forms that plants can use. In nature, there is no one to fertilize the forest. Plants use energy from the sun and biology in the soil to grow. IMO culture is a complete ecosystem. It has bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoas, little small microscopic creepy crawlies, viruses, everything that's in the environment. It will be in your IMO collection, and the idea is to take the whole system intact. The culture of the soil is then stabilized, amplified, and acclimated to the planting soil and then installed. A single application can be enough. Water, carbon, nitrogen, and other nutrients are conserved. There are no fertilizer or chemicals to run off and contaminate other properties or bodies of water. Not only is this a complete ecosystem, it has vast numbers of microbes, far greater than found naturally. This means the system is robust, and improvements in the soil, the crops, and the livestock happen very quickly. As we said, in nature there is no fertilization, and in natural farming, which is the idea of growing food in ways that mimic nature, in natural farming we don't fertilize either. We allow plants to obtain the exact nutrients they need when they need them in the correct amounts by themselves, well, with the use of the biology in the soil. We want the plants to be able to feed themselves rather than trying to guess what we think they need. IMO is also used to inoculate animal bedding, giving them a living floor, which protects against disease and parasites. It is also added to animal feed to improve nutrition and immune function. Having microbes in the soil means my soil quality improved and the topsoil increased. I started out with dead clay that had been abused by growing sugarcane for 100 years. My first soil test indicated 0, flatlined, 0 nitrogen, potassium, or phosphorus, nothing. It had no organic matter. And using the organic methods, I was getting there. Things were getting better, but it was a slow process. very acidic soil. And I definitely needed to use fertilizer to get the plants to grow. There just wasn't enough nature life in the soil for the plants to grow themselves. Plant growth is directed using an elegant system of biochemistry. The formulas follow the nutritive cycle and are applied weekly as a mist-like dew onto the leaves and allowed to drip into the microbes in the soil. Formulas made to follow the nutritive cycle contain hormones, enzymes, and cofactors that are used to control plant growth. They can be used to develop big healthy leaf growth, increase flavor, entice or delay flowering, encourage fruit set and ripening. These formulas are not meant as fertilizers. It's a method of using biochemistry to direct the growth of plants. The inputs are useful for animals as well, and we will cover this later. Inputs for the formulas are mostly made using wild aerobic fermentation. Plant material is mixed with dry, raw sugar. The sugar pulls the saps and cellular fluids out of the plant material, and the wild yeasts present on the surface of the plants then ferments the juices. The result is called fermented plant juice, or FPJ. When a fruit is used as the plant material, it can be called a fermented fruit juice, or FFJ, but they are really all fermented plant juices. Inputs for weekly misting formulas are made from materials on or near the farm. They're easy to make, take little time or money, and are completely safe and completely edible for plants, for animals, even people. In fact, many inputs are used medicinally and in the kitchen. They are used in dilute amounts, so inputs go far. Most inputs can last 2 or more years if made and stored correctly. The third feature of Korean natural farming is integrating animals. Nature does not exist anywhere without plants, animals, and microbes. If you want to harvest the power of nature, your farm should also include plants, animals, and microbes. Trying to grow plants without animals is not natural. It's not natural to grow them without microbes in the soil either. The main benefit of integrating plants and animals and microbes is to cycle materials on land, to turn organic matter into soil and nutrients. In nature, there is no waste. On the farm, there should be no waste either. Integrating animals can be as simple as having a few chickens and keeping the chickens on a living floor using an inoculated deep litter system, or IDLS. The bedding is inoculated with IMO, indigenous microorganisms, the secret ingredient in Korean natural farming, and we will cover these topics in detail in this series. In the animal barn, there were no smells, no flies, but I didn't muck out the barn at all, ever, after I switched to Korean natural farming. I used an inoculated deep litter system so that it had a living soil. I would put all the compostables in there, and the chickens would go through that, and it would become composted mulch almost instantaneously. So I never had to do the compost work. I didn't have to haul and pile and turn and pile and haul and pile and pray. That's what I call compost. Didn't have to do it anymore. I had the animals. And I always had a finished compost ready to go. I just had to take some of the bedding out and use it as mulch. Fully composted, high energy, full of microbes, wonderful stuff. That was key to lowering my workload, was actually having chickens. You would think chickens would be more work, but if you do it right and you let nature do the work, then you have less work when you add chickens. Now you know the 3 actions I took to save money, improve the health and yields of my farm, and make my workload easier. This video has been just a little peek into the benefits of natural farming and Korean natural farming, or KNF. In this video, we learned the 3 actions that defined KNF: soil foundation, nutritive cycle, integrating animals, and how those actions allowed me to slash my farm bill from over $200 a month to an average of only $20 a month. I stopped buying all fertilizers, all animal feed, and we covered additional benefits as well. I had less work to do. I no longer needed to compost or muck out stalls in the barn, and I no longer created any waste. I had a reduction in pests, disease, parasites. That saved me time and money, increased the health of my soil, the plants, and the animals, led to an increase in my yields, quality, taste, and nutrition. In fact, like I said, I was able to grow crops I wasn't able to grow before. And I was able to charge top dollar for my products because I grew top quality. Want to learn more? Check out our website. The nutritive cycle basically follows the stages of life, from infant and child through adolescence